Good afternoon and welcome to the briefing for Hurricane Laura. We are in the Calcasieu Parish Emergency Operations Center. My name is Brian Beam, Calcasieu Parish Administrator. We are going to cover a few things we did earlier today. Some of you may have missed it. Earlier today at 11 a.m., the Executive Policy Group, which consists of the Police Jury President, the 6 mayors of the 6 municipalities in the parish, and the sheriff, met as we do regularly, and they issued a mandatory evacuation effective at 11 a.m. today for all of Calcasieu Parish. That's the most important news, and we will reiterate some of the things we covered earlier today. But what we want to do first is ask Mr. Grimion, Director of Emergency Preparedness, to come up, and he'll give an overview of the latest weather information and some of the key things folks have to do whether you're staying here or about to evacuate. So, Dick Grimion.
Thank you, Brian. Just kind of a review of the weather. It has not changed much. Hurricane Laura is now poised to come ashore here as a Category 3 hurricane, 115-mile-an-hour sustained winds, which is going to be very destructive. We talked a little bit about the storm surge and saying how high it's going to be. What we didn't talk about was the area. If you go to the National Hurricane Center website and look at the storm surge maps there, you'll get a good idea of what they're talking about when they say a 13-foot or a 19-foot storm surge. In Calcasieu Parish, roughly probably 70% of the area south of I-10 is going to be susceptible to some sort of storm surge flooding. Same holds true for Lake Charles. I-10 could have several areas where water is across the road on Interstate 10. Also into Jeff Davis Parish, Lacassine area, and potentially water over I-10 there as well. You should have completed all your safety checks and your preparations for hurricane so far, but we'll remind you that you can go to getagameplan.org, which is the state emergency preparedness site. They have a lot of good preparedness tips there, and just read over. There may be a few things that you've forgotten about, but just the basics. Of course, money, prescriptions, prescription drugs you should bring with you, important papers, and also make a communication plan with your family so they'll know exactly where you're going and when you plan to return. The sheriff talked a little bit about generator safety earlier today. Just want to say the power is going to go out, and we're going to hear from representatives from both Entergy and Jeff Davis Electric shortly, and I'm sure they will talk a little bit about electrical safety. But just in general, with generators in particular, they're very dangerous. A lot of times people hook them up the wrong way. A common problem is carbon monoxide poisoning, where people put the generators inside their house because their extension cord's not long enough. But I'm sure that Entergy and Jeff Davis might expand on that a little bit. A reminder not to drive through high water. the Weather Service says turn around, don't drown. And this is especially true in a storm surge because water is over areas where you don't normally see water. So just be extremely careful. The best thing to do is not go out for the first few hours after the storm and let the storm surge clear itself out. And last, we have been conducting transportation pickup for people wanting to go to shelters. This is mainly for people who either don't have adequate transportation or the transportation they have is poor. We have routes in the city of Lake Charles. It's the regular bus routes. They've been picking people up all day. And out in the parish outside of Lake Charles, the parish transit buses have been picking people up there. And with that, I will ask Teresa, you have any questions?
Does that transportation stop at 8 o'clock tonight? And will it
Yes.
resume tomorrow at all?
No, it stops at 8 o'clock tonight. It won't be possible to do it in the morning. We just won't have enough time before the hurricane force winds come up.
At what point will it no longer be safe for people to attempt to leave this area?
I think during the weather briefing, if you saw the National Hurricane Center and National Weather Service here locally put a chart up, and they're saying by midday tomorrow we will be at tropical storm force winds, so it would be dangerous to venture out afternoon tomorrow. So if you're planning on evacuating or doing anything else, that needs to be completed by noon tomorrow.
Is there any advice you can give to people who have pets and don't think they'll be able to take them along, or what should they do?
I don't have an answer for that one, Teresa. Anything else? Yeah. Next, be Mayor Hunter.
Good evening. Ladies and gentlemen, every minute that you're staying at home right now trying to decide whether or not to leave is a minute wasted. And these are precious minutes at this juncture. If you're watching this storm and hoping that it'll just veer to the west or might weaken, I want you to stop right now. Stop having that internal conversation with yourself and make the decision right now to leave Lake Charles and leave Calcasieu Parish. Listen to the weather experts. These are individuals that spend lifetimes trying to predict what these storms are going to do. And right now, the message is very clear and very concise from these weather experts that Lake Charles and Calcasieu Parish is in for a major weather event. Again, wouldn't it be better in 2 or 3 days if you leave and look back and hopefully things have not been that bad in Lake Charles or Calcasieu Parish versus you deciding to stay and we would be hit by a severe weather event, and in 2 or 3 days you looking around, seeing your family, being there without electricity, perhaps without water or wastewater services, and wishing that you would have left. Do not regret your decision that you make today in 2 or 3 days. By staying, you're putting yourselves in danger, but you're also putting public safety employees in danger. I know that Sheriff will talk about, again, some of the limitations of public safety response during a weather event. But even after that event passes, if public safety employees are having to perform search and rescue, you are putting your family and those individuals at risk. Again, we realize not everyone has the financial means to just pick themselves up and leave. We have an option for you. Right now, as I am speaking, across the city of Lake Charles, our city buses are picking up individuals at city bus stops. Those buses will bring you to Burton Coliseum, and partnering with the state of Louisiana, buses that are administered by the state are bringing people to safety. And we are tracking those. We're going to know where people go. So at this juncture, there is really no one in Lake Charles or Calcasieu Parish who should be able to say, I don't have an option to leave. We are providing those options to our citizens. So the message is very clear and the message is very direct. I said it earlier, we're not trying to mince words, we're not trying to waffle. You need to leave. You need to leave Calcasieu Parish, you need to leave Lake Charles. Any questions?
To what extent do you think the people who are hospitalized or and the people in nursing homes, if families feel that they need to leave, how safe will the relatives that they have to leave behind in those type facilities be?
Well, Teresa, I know that there's members of my office that spoke with members of OEP today, asking about nursing homes, asking about hospitals. Each individual nursing home and hospital has their own plan, and we have seen those plans enacted. So I would refer you to those individual hospitals or nursing homes, but we know that each one of those has a plan, and according to what we are hearing, they are enacting their plan and getting those individuals to safety. Again, you have to make some very difficult decisions if you are a hospital, and so some of those direct questions should probably be directed to those hospitals. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Next up will be Calcasieu Parish Police Jury President Tony Gilry.
Thank you, Brian. Hurricane Laura is on its way, and we are doing our best to prepare for its effects. Do not wait to make preparations for to evacuate to a safer destination if you are able to. Please do not wait. Make sure you have essential things such as water, food, medication, and anything else you or the family may need. Please drive safe as you evacuate and be patient on the road. I pray that our people, our homes, and our business and our community can recover quickly. I know this is our strong community, and I know we can get through this. If you are staying, please let someone know, please. And thank you, and may God bless. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. We're now going to ask Sheriff Mancuso to come up, and there will be a curfew he'll talk about a little bit and some other things. Tony?
Okay, thanks, Brian. We talked earlier today about evacuating and a mandatory evacuation, and I tried to put it in perspective in regards to our inmate population. I feel like the jail, as far as structural wise, is probably one of the safest places in Calcasieu Parish. But we still have evacuated our correctional facility. You may say, why? Because we don't know what the water and the storm surge is going to do. We do have power. We have generators that generate it, but we do that so that we know they're protected in case we have a structural failure. We know that now we can take the manpower and resources that it often takes to operate that jail, to move those resources, and I'm talking to the criminals out there, to move those resources to where we will have zero tolerance in our parish for looting, for you entering somebody's home, for burglarizing, anything. The jail's going to be empty, so we'll have plenty of room, and we'll have plenty of deputies to handle the situation. So we empty our jail for many reasons, and this is just a couple of them. You know, I know Mayor Hunter and all the mayors, I know he's speaking for them, and I'm speaking for our chiefs. We've been meeting. We had a Zoom meeting at 2:30. We're all on the same page. We all have the same plan. We are going to be aggressive in our actions of keeping our streets safe once people evacuate and or hunker down. The problem when you don't evacuate is we will use resources for search and rescue rather than patrolling streets if in fact you become trapped in your house. There will be a time, I don't know the exact time, but I'm gonna give a good estimate. Tomorrow evening into the early morning hours of Thursday that you will not receive any services. We will not be able to get to you for a certain period of time. And that's the scariest part of this. You pay us to protect you and to call on us when you need us, whether it be fire, whether it be police, whether it be ambulance. And we cannot. We will not be able to do that for a multitude of reasons. High water, down trees, high winds. I can go on and on. So I urge you, if you have the means and you can, please don't be stubborn and bullheaded. You know, I can tell you I sent my family away, and that's always hard to do. My house survived Rita, so, you know, I'm sure you can always make the assumption, well, it should survive this. We don't know what's going to happen, but I know that they're safe, and I can concentrate on doing my job now here, and that's what I plead to you today. And we really have a small window of opportunity now, from now until probably midday tomorrow, maybe, to make that decision. I think, Mayor Hunter, you mentioned it. So, again, unless you have any questions, I don't know if I forgot anything, Brian, that I need to cover, but I did mention, you know, the pandemic is one thing. I don't want to say we floundered, but, you know, it's new. We've never dealt with something like this as a group. And I feel like this group is very good at what they do. They're very good at communicating. I'm talking about the executive policy group. We work together. We solve problems together. When we leave a meeting, we're all on the same page, and we enact the process that we're going to do it. COVID had thrown us a curveball. This is not a curveball for us. We know what we're talking about. We know from experience. We know from doing it time and time again what works and what doesn't. And so what works is when people cooperate with us. And so I'm hoping that people heed that. I'm not so sure there's a lot of people that really have truly left. So we're going to have to deal with that when it comes up, and we will. But
Could you explain about the curfew, and also what would you say to people who are hesitant to leave because they're afraid they might not be able to get back in?
okay, I did mention that too earlier. Curfew is going to be officially, we said dusk to dawn, but I think the police jury did the official act this afternoon. It is signed by the police jury president. It is 7 p.m. starting tomorrow, Thursday evening, 7 p.m. to 6 a.m.
Wednesday.
All right? Tomorrow, Wednesday. And it will continue now until we feel it's safe for our public. In other words, it depends on electricity, down power lines, down trees, when we say that curfew is lifted. And let me tell you, those that know me, and the media should know this too by now, I'm very reluctant to call for a curfew. I don't really want to restrict people to that because for many reasons. So we don't do that very often. I can't think of very many times that we've done that other than hurricanes. And we are doing that. And so we will strictly enforce it. Now, use common sense. If you work at any of our refineries, any hospital, the police jury, any essential workplace, it doesn't matter if you're a member of the news media, as long as you show your credentials and you're doing your job or going to your job or coming home from your job, you're not going to have any issues. So don't panic and don't worry about that. As far as coming back in, Teresa, the other part of your question is we're not going to lock down the parish and not let everybody back in. We learned that it was just too encumbersome on manpower. It just didn't work very effectively. It worked, but I think it just caused more problems. I met with the chiefs again on this today and made sure, do we really want to do this? And we do. We want to do it for a couple reasons. The sooner we get the public back, the more they start cleaning up after themselves and helping our community get back to normal. And we can free up, again, that manpower that we would use at checkpoints to do other duties and responsibilities. I know I didn't talk about it a while ago, but not just public works crews from the parish or the cities and the municipalities, but sheriff's deputies, city policemen from all over will have chainsaws and equipment. We're going to clear our streets so we can get to people, but that takes time, and that's what I mean by, we got to let the storm pass, we got to let it get safe, and then we got to go out there and try to get around in this city and this parish, and that can be very difficult from past experience to accomplish. So we're ready. I could promise you with 100% assurity, everybody in this parish, every public entity is ready for this task, and we will get through it, and we'll get through it very efficiently. But that doesn't mean it's going to go perfectly. This could be devastating, as was Rita. And look, that breaks my heart. I remember waking up that morning, and it was just more than I ever imagined. And so I remember, as you know, Sheriff Theos Duhon just passed away, but he and I, about 3 o'clock in the morning, looked out, and he looked at me literally and said, I'm not going to have anything left in my parish. So this is that type of storm, and it could be that type of storm. And so we need to be prepared for that.
Thank you, Sheriff. Those are very important words. We understand there might have been some sound problems earlier, depending on how your people are watching this. Just to restate a couple of things. Earlier today, mandatory evacuation issued from the public officials, mayors, police jury president, and sheriff, working together. Important, if you're not already evacuating and plan to, really need to go now. We were asked earlier, what's the latest tomorrow, Wednesday, that it's maybe safe to be on the road? Shouldn't stretch it, but anytime after noon tomorrow, we expect tropical storm force winds to be in our area. That's about 40 miles an hour upwards, and it only gets worse. So don't tempt fate. That's the latest. But those are some of the key points. And then, of course, you heard some of the information on curfews and so forth from the sheriff. Because we are now so close to the expected landfall, we want to think ahead and afterwards. And what's one of the first things we are almost guaranteed to get? It's some level of power outage. Hopefully it's not bad, but this is what is common in a Category 3 storm. Therefore, we have asked for this briefing to have officials from a couple of our local electricity providers, and we're going to start with Entergy. And Margaret, if you'll make your way, please. Margaret Harris has been with Entergy many years. She has been great to work with, and the company has been very responsive. She'll lay out some information about what they are doing to plan for this event. Margaret?
Thank you, Brian. I want to make sure that you are prepared for power outages at your home, and you've heard the leadership of the parish ask you to evacuate. You can expect with hurricanes to have power outages. It's very difficult to project exactly how long it'll take to restore power because there are many unknowns, and every storm and every hurricane presents its own uniqueness. So be prepared. We have leadership that's giving you guidance. We do want you to have confidence in us. We have 5,300 storm workers prepared to restore power in Louisiana. It's a team of 5,300 now, and we are working to bring in additional workers to help with restoration. We're experienced in restoring power. We have a brother helping brother, sister helping sister atmosphere in the utility industry where contractors come and assist Entergy employees as well as other utilities from other parts of the nation. COVID-19 does present some unique circumstances for us in terms of how we work our crews, how we do our safety briefings, and various other elements, how we do our logistics. We have been working in that environment already, so we want to assure you that we know how to work in that environment and we're doing it as safely as we can. And of utmost importance to us at Entergy is the safety of the public, and that's what all this group today has joined together to say. We are very concerned about your safety, and we want to bring you that message. We also want our storm workers to be safe in their restoration efforts. So you've heard the various comments related to proper hookup of generators when you come back into the parish and your power may not be restored yet. If you have a generator and choose to hook it up, it's very important that someone knowledgeable in hooking up your generator does that for you so you don't create a safety hazard for your family or for our storm workers. There are a lot of tools today to help you stay informed. So Entergy has a View Outage app. You can download the app to a smartphone, and you can take a look at progress being made. And you can also see alert messages for us that we send out periodically. If you've opted to have different forms of communication from us when you've talked with us or done business with us electronically, you can opt for text messaging, emails, phone calls, and we do some of that as well. So I want to encourage you to be prepared and to be patient. And I thank you for the opportunity to serve you here.
What should people do to avoid hooking up a generator incorrectly so that to make sure it doesn't endanger your workers?
They need to have someone knowledgeable in installation of generators to hook it up.
Thank you, Margaret. Very helpful. Now, earlier, Mr. Grimion mentioned Jeff Davis Electric. They clearly provide great service there, but that's not who's here today. We do have K-Fox with Beauregard Electric, who is an important provider in Calcasieu Parish, and we appreciate K-Fox coming today to give us a few words from Beauregard Electric.
Thank you very much, and I do appreciate the opportunity to come down. As Brian mentioned, we do serve the northern part of Calcasieu Parish. We have 7 parishes that we actually serve. Jeff Davis Electric is our sister co-op, and just like Margaret mentioned earlier, with the mutual aid assistance, we have just an array of co-ops. Locally, we have state nationwide co-ops that are available. We have conducted all of our pre-meetings. All of our assistance is in place and ready to go. Couple of things that I want to mention to you, and just like Margaret mentioned, we also have the information on our website. We also have an app, My BECI app. We have outage notifications, and we too will make use of social media. Now, as you all mentioned earlier, the chances of us losing power is pretty high. Looking back at Hurricane Rita, we served the 7 parishes, and we actually, in Rita, lost every member that we had. So it was a rebuilding process, and what had taken us so many years to build, we had to rebuild in a matter of 3 weeks. So yes, we will have power outages. We live in rural communities, and with that comes your trees in your home, your yard and your neighborhoods. And with the wind and high winds, expect some of those trees to come down. Couple of things to remember. If you see a power line, please, 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 always treat it as live. You may think because it's torn up and wrapped up in the trees that it's dead, but you never assume that. Our safety is to let us know that. You can call into our office. We have an automated phone system that you can push power outage and give us that information. As far as the restoration process, what happens in a case like this is we've had folks that are calling in and saying, listen, I'm on a priority, I'm on oxygen, and I need power quicker than my neighbor. Well, the process begins with getting power to our substations. So once you get the power in the substations and you energize that area, then you can work into the circuits. Once you get into the circuits, then you can focus on the individuals who are without power. If you are a priority customer, we take that into consideration when it comes to those individual taps. But we have to energize the larger areas, meaning the substations, your critical care, and just the areas that we can get on as quickly as possible. We also have a toll-free number. We will be getting the information out. We ask again that you stay away from the power lines, observe what we've discussed about the generator safety, and just bear with us. We're in this together, and we'll do the best that we can. Any questions? Okay.
Thank you, Kay. We appreciate those explanations. Everybody, of course, after power goes out, everybody wants to be restored, but there is a process that's very important to follow. That wraps up our speakers for today. We will have a briefing tomorrow at 10:30 a.m., a public briefing. That will be the last one prior to what we anticipate is the storm's arrival in our area, just to let everybody know. But at this point, are there any other questions on any of the topics or something we did not cover? Okay, I just want to state, and I know others have, the mayor, the sheriff, Mr. Gilreath, the public entities and even with the private contractors or private companies, we have worked together greatly, not only on this storm, but for many years. And those relationships for those years have enabled us to build practices where we don't have to learn that all over again. That is invaluable because right now everything is going to happen quickly, but we feel very good about all of the leaders in the public bodies who are serving all the citizens. We understand how much this means to them, and we're very proud to work alongside all of them. For now, that will wrap up our public briefing on Hurricane Laura. Again, tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. will be the next public briefing.